Welcome to the Vacation Races and Friends podcast, a podcast about events, travel, and the people who love both. Find more episodes at vacationraces.com. Welcome back to the Vacation Races and Friends podcast. Excited to be talking to you about this fall event, the Zion Ultra. Lyle Anderson, race director, is here with us. Lyle, I have to say Zion Ultra holds a special place in my heart. Number one, it's our backyard, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's literally our backyard.
And it's my only 100-miler that I have ever ran.
Right.
And you came and paced me.
I did. I came and paced it. Lyle's his first, we're going to call it your first still, because you never know if you're going to do another one.
But yeah, I've learned to never say never.
Never say never.
Even a month before I ran that 100-miler, I said I would never be dumb enough to run a 100-mile race.
And look at you.
And I did it.
You did it. And you did do it at Zion Ultra. My very first 50K was on the original Zion Ultra course. So it definitely holds a special place in our hearts. And it is a beautiful course. And I am really excited to hear that Vacation Races decided to do this event in the fall. What a great time of year.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. Unfortunately, we had to cancel it in April when it was normally scheduled. Timing of it all just seemed to have gone the way of a lot of things this year, but we're super happy to be able to do it this fall, and look forward to having you guys come join us.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So let's get into kind of the nitty gritty of the race guide for Zion Ultra. Again, we're not having, if you've been to some of our other events like the Bryce Ultra, you saw some of the different COVID-19 precautions that we put in place, and there's going to be similar ones here at Zion. No expo bib pickup, but we're going to have a drive-through expo. Yeah,
well, not a drive-through expo, but a drive-through
bib pickup.
Yeah,
yes.
So you'll be able to show up on Friday, the 25th, from 2 to 7, and we'll just right there in the town of Virgin, in front of the park. We'll have some tables set up there where you can just drive right up to it and stay in your car, and we'll hand you your bib and your race shirt, and you can go on your merry way. We will also have a place there for you to drop off your drop bags that we will then take out to the aid stations for you. And you'll have until 8 p.m. that Friday night to make sure you get your drop bags dropped off. One thing that I do want to make sure and kind of make special note of is that with those drop bags, on a normal year, we'll usually have like a table set up with some markers and some tape and things like that where you can label your drop bags. But this year, due to all the COVID regulations and whatnot, we're just asking everybody to just make sure you bring your bags already labeled with exactly, everything that you want on there, your name, your bib number, what aid station it's being taken to, and what distance you're running. And a good idea, just in case it rains or anything like that, is to also maybe even put like a card inside of your bag so that, or if your labeling peels off or whatever, there's another way to identify whose bag it belongs to. But make sure that when you drop it off, you come with it all pre-labeled and everything. So
it's all ready to go.
Drop it off.
Yeah,
exactly.
That we can just take it from you and it'll be ready to go. So bib pickup 2 to 7 Friday in the town of Virgin. It's not hard to find anything in Virgin because it's not very big.
No, it's just, the park is just right there, center of town.
Right off of Main Street.
Yeah, right off of Main Street and right next to the LDS church. And we'll be right there on that, right next to the church, actually, on Main Street, for you to. And
that's also where the start and finish is as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
So where you go for the drive-through bib pickup is where you're going to go the next morning to actually get started. And that's where the finish line will be as well. So right there in Virgin, drive-through, it's going to be pretty easy. We don't want you getting out of your cars or anything like that. That's, COVID-19 keeps you safe, keeps our staff safe. And what are we going to see as far as staff? Are they going to be wearing masks? What do you have out there for?
Yeah, all the staff will make sure we're wearing masks. We want to, like I said, make sure that we're keeping all of our runners safe, but also our staff and the community. So we're doing everything that we can within our power to make sure and keep everybody safe. And so we'll have our masks on. Like Colleen said, shouldn't really be too much of an issue if everybody just stays in their car. That'll help reduce any
contact,
social distancing issues that may arise. So
should be pretty easy. And we, at this event, it got canceled in the spring. And so here we are in the fall. The difference is we've got 3 different race lengths, I guess is what word I'm looking for.
Distances.
Distances. And we don't have the 100 miler for this event, but we have the 100K, 50K, and then the half marathon.
Correct.
So you've got those 3 distances. Hopefully you're all registered and you know where you're going. But on Saturday at the start line, what time do we have starting and which distance starts first?
So the 100K is going to start first. They're going to be starting at 5:30 a.m. on Saturday. And kind of just elaborating on that a little bit, for our Bryce Canyon Ultra, when we did that was back at the end of May. And so it was, I think, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that was probably the first event in the country that was held post-COVID. Mm-hmm. So we really kind of were doing everything that we thought we needed to do. And so there were some things that were really good that we implemented, and there were some things that I think were a bit overkill. So one of the things that I think was a bit overkill was that we gave an hour starting window for each distance. And so for this one, we kind of reined it back to a half hour starting window. So the 100K is going to start at between 5:30 a.m. and 6 on Saturday. And what that is going to look like basically is anybody who is planning to go for overall awards. We don't do age group awards, but we do have top 3 male and top 3 female that we award
in each distance.
So if you're planning to go for one of those overall awards, we would recommend that you line up right at 5:30, toe in the line. And then right behind that should be anybody who's worried about cutoff times. So we've got some pretty generous cutoff times, I feel like, for each of the aid stations. But by starting closer to that 5:30 time frame, you're going to be essentially getting an extra half hour to make those cutoff times. Now, let me elaborate on what that means. Is overall, your overall time is going to be based off of what time you cross the starting line.
Because it's an open electronic bib
it's chip time. So like if you start at 5:30, all of our cutoff times are based off of a 6 a.m. start. So you're getting an extra half hour to make those cutoffs, but you're not getting an extra half hour to make the overall time. So if you come in a half hour or 20 minutes after the cutoff time and think you're good because you started early, that's where it can get a little dicey. And I know at Bryce there was a few people that were confused by that, and after I explained it to them, they understood. So just be aware that like your time starts the second you start the race, but by starting closer to 5:30, you're just going to be getting that extra half hour to make those cutoff times. So,
buying yourself a little bit extra time.
Yeah. So if you're worried about cutoff times, like you'll still be able to finish the race, but your official time may not count if you come in over the allotted time. So
that's in the 100K. That starts at 5:30 for that. We want all those
5:30 to 6.
5:30 to 6.
Just want to make sure and
it will once it opens, it'll just kind of be a rolling start. But if you are going for those overall awards, you need to start right at 5:30 because you need to be on that start line on that time. And then it will just be open until 6, and there'll be a little 30-minute break before we start the next distance.
Yep. So then we'll start the 50K, and they'll start at 6:30 to 7. And same rules apply, basically. If you're going for overall, we want you toeing the line right there at 6:30. Anybody worried about cutoff time should be right behind them. And then other than that, you've got a half hour
30
essentially
minutes,
to just kind of spread out. And that's the whole reason we're doing this, is because we don't want everybody congregated at the starting line waiting to start the race. We really want to spread everybody out. We haven't assigned everybody a specific start time because we just want it to be kind of open. So this is where we really kind of ask for your help on this to just kind of help us keep everybody at a safe distance. So that's kind of the idea that we're going for here is take your time, go to the bathroom, do whatever your pre-race ritual is, and make sure you feel comfortable. And then just whenever you're ready, just make your way to the starting line and get going. There's not going to be a big, huge, grand
start line, with a gun and things like
and all
that
stuff. It's going to be pretty low key, but it's going to be a great race, and we're really looking forward to having all you guys there with us. And like Colleen and I said earlier, like the scenery is going to be really beautiful this time of year.
Yeah,
we've never done it in the fall before. We've always done it in the spring, so I'm really excited to bring this race in the fall and see how different it really works out.
The way that it's going to work. So we've got a 5:30 start for the 100K, a 5:30 to 6 for the 100K, 6:30 to 7 for the 50K. Yep. And then our half marathon is going to start at what time?
The half marathon is going to be starting at 7:30, from 7:30 to 8. Sunrise is going to be at 7:24. So you guys will be right behind the sunrise there, getting started for the half marathon. And again, same rules are basically going to apply for the half marathon. If you're towing the line, going for one of those overall spots, make sure you're there right at 7:30, and cutoff times is right behind that. Now, there's only one Grim Reaper time that we have for this race, and that's for the 100K at 5:30 p.m. at our Goosebump aid station second pass.
Okay.
So the 100K is going to be out till 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. So basically, we don't have any hard cutoff times for the other distances. Basically, the only reason we would even pull you is if it's an aid station that needs to shut down and you're way behind those times.
Yeah.
But as long as those aid stations are going to remain open, then we'll go ahead and let you finish. You may not get an official finish time if you're longer than the overall time, but again, we're not going to be super stingy especially for the half marathon and for the 50K, since we're going to be staying open for
since the 100Kers are they don't come into Goosebump until well after the 50K and the half marathons will have come through.
Yeah, so there's not really any risk of getting pulled, but we do want to make sure that everybody is in good health and in good condition out there, not putting themselves in a dangerous situation that they're not aware of. So we will definitely be keeping an eye on everybody on course and making sure that everybody is well taken care of. So
well, speaking of the course and looking at the fall, you were talking about sunrises at 7:24. The 100Kers definitely going to need a headlamp when they start out at 5:30.
Yeah.
50Kers, depending, the closer you get to 7 o'clock, the less need you're going to have for a headlamp, and you would only need it for a short period of time. But yeah, definitely for the 100Kers, because we don't have as much daylight this time of year as we generally would in the mornings. And so you definitely will need some lighting as far as that goes with the 100K. But let's talk about the 100K course and how many aid stations we have out there. It's such a great course. What I love about Zion Ultra is it takes you up on these beautiful mesas, gives you these amazing trails, these amazing views, and then takes you back down. It's like you get to sample all of the best parts of the mesa. So what do we have on tap for the 100K?
100K is going to be passing through 10 fully stocked aid stations. And when I say fully stocked, for our Bryce Canyon race, we again, this is another one of those situations where we really were trying to make sure and implement the safest protocols we could to make sure that everybody was safe, the aid stations were sanitary, and all this and that. And I feel like we may have gone a little overboard, for that.
Not that we're making them less safe, but we've really dialed in how to make them.
So at Bryce, we were only offering prepackaged, single serve, grab and go type items. And I think for the most part, they were really well received and people appreciated that. But we also, one thing that we really pride ourselves on is customer feedback. And so, we put out a survey after that race and asked people's opinions on what we were offering at the aid stations. And it was pretty unanimous that everyone felt that we safely could still offer some cooked things like bacon and quesadillas.
Because who doesn't like some bacon?
You gotta
at about mile 40, there's nothing like some bacon.
You got it, or sooner.
It's true. It's true. I mean, at mile 5, bacon tastes great too.
You just gotta have it. So we are going to be offering something. It probably won't be as extensive as usual, but we will have bacon, some boiled potatoes, some fresh cut fruit, some quesadillas, burritos, Nutella wraps, just some of those quick grab and go type things. And it'll probably be more of a served type situation instead of a self-serve.
We're not going to have a lot of hands in the M&Ms.
No. So you'll need to ask the staff working the aid stations to what you want, and they'll hand it to you. That way we're not getting a lot of runners' hands, sweaty hands that have been a lot of places.
Sweaty might be the least of our worries.
I don't think we need to specify where those hands have been.
These are ultra runners. They understand.
So we're not going to let you grab food. We're going to hand you the food.
Hey, that's why we have such great immune systems, is because this is what we do. So, all right. So we've got fully stocked aid stations that you're going to have 10 of them on the 100K course. Do you want to run through kind of that course, the first aid station they're going to come to, and the different loops that they're going to see on that 100K?
Yes, I'd love to. So we're going to be starting, for those of you that have ran with us before, it's the same course as last year. We didn't change it, which is great. So you're going to be starting at the Virgin Town Park, like we talked about earlier. And for those of you running the 100K, you're going to head straight up to the Goosebump aid station up on Gooseberry Mesa. And from there, you're going to continue.
I like how you said straight up. I thought that was a unique choice of words there.
Yeah, it is good. For those of you that aren't aware, there is a pretty good climb to get up there.
Straight up is the only way to identify it.
Yeah, and it'll definitely get the heart rate pumping getting up that hill. So you're going to be going straight up to Goosebump Aid Station, and then from there you're going to continue on. You'll be running along some dirt service roads and double track for a few miles there until you get to the Grafton Aid Station, where you'll just hit that aid station and then continue on past that to Wire Mesa.
Staying on the road.
Yep. And then once you hit that Wire Mesa aid station, you'll do the Wire Mesa loop. You'll run it counterclockwise.
Okay.
Do the loop counterclockwise and come back to the Wire Mesa aid station, and then you'll come back up that same road to the Grafton aid station, and then you'll do the Grafton Mesa loop counterclockwise as well. Come back to the Grafton aid station, and then you will basically backtrack on that same dirt road back to Goosebump. Now, one thing that I wanted to kind of discuss or key in on a little bit is there is a field between Goosebump Aid and Grafton Aid where we will have a lot of space. There's no crew access at any of these three aid stations.
Right.
So we want to just make sure that we strongly communicate that there is no crew access at Grafton, Wire, or Goosebump aid station.
Those three on top of the mesa.
Just because you can drive to them, please do not drive to them.
Right.
Please make sure your crew and your pacers do not drive to them. These are very tight, congested roads. And if somebody goes, then everybody's going to go, and we're going to have a big mess on our hands, and we have to explain that to our permitting agencies, which is going to put this race in jeopardy. So please help us out, and don't go to any of those aid station locations. But this field that's right around, I think I could probably tell you what mile it is here real quick. I think I looked it up at one point. But this particular field has got plenty of room for people to park at
and get off the road. I think that's the biggest part.
You can provide crew support for your runner, and you'll get to see them both going out to Grafton and coming back.
Yeah.
So this is a great spot for spectating, for crewing your runners, etc. Now, let me take back what I just said there. There is no spectating. We're trying to really make sure that we're reducing to keep everybody socially distanced and to reduce the number of people on course. We have some policies that we are implementing. We did this for Bryce, and we decided we want to keep those. And one of those is as far as crew and pacers go, when you check in on Friday and get your bib, we're going to give you a pacer bib for your pacers and also one crew bib. And anybody who's offering support to you, they have to have only one person can be out of the vehicle at that time.
One person per runner.
One person
with
per
a
runner.
bib on.
They have to have that bib on.
Okay.
So if you have a team of people coming to crew you at the race, that's wonderful. but only one of them can be out of the car, providing you that support that you need at that time.
So like you were saying, at this field access, we can't have 20 people all standing there out of the vehicles without bibs on. This is for, as your runner passes, if one person needs to get out and give them some, of their gear or something that they need, or take
they
some
need to
gear.
Take something,
that's totally fine to do that. Make sure you get those bibs on, but no congregating and not extra people out of the cars.
Yeah, and the main thing to keep in mind too is all of these loops that we're running up on these mesas. These are all very popular mountain biking trails, and so these are they're not closed. So if somebody decides they want to come out and use the trails that day, they're definitely, it's public land. They definitely can. We don't have any sort of claim to these trails. We are permitted to run on them. So I would hope that seeing the number of people out there would discourage them. But also these roads are open to vehicle traffic, and so we definitely don't want to have a bunch of people out there congregated in the road, blocking traffic and making
really dusty. I mean, it ends up being really dusty out there and things like that. So just make sure, I think with the bibs, pick up those bibs for your support and for your pacers. Make sure they have those on, and then everything will be okay that way.
Yeah. And so this is a great place for that up on the mesas there. Just make sure that, like I said, you got your bibs on for your pacers and your crew. And then also, so then after you guys pass that, you'll come back to Goosebump Aid Station and do the Gooseberry Mesa loop. Also, you'll be doing that counterclockwise, and we'll have a water only station set up around mile. I'm trying to pull it up, but there it is. 42. 42. So, you'll have a water only station there around mile 42 that you can refill on while you're doing the loop. So,
and it could be a little warm out there. Definitely plan for warmer unless our temperatures change, but it could be warm out there. Yeah, similar temperature to the spring.
Yeah, late September and late spring when we do this race is very similar temperature wise. Yes. But I think the mornings will probably be cooler.
Yes,
the mornings will definitely be a little bit cooler. But afternoons, it could be up into the low 90s. You know, so ideally it won't be that hot, but it definitely could be. So
plan on the warmer side of things, and make sure you have your gear for that.
And then from Goosebump, so after they come back to Goosebump, which
second pass of
Goosebump, which, like I said earlier, is also the Grim Reaper time for the 100K of 5:30 p.m. So after you come back into that second pass, which is mile 45.7, you're gonna drop back down the big hill and head over to Virgin Desert. And Virgin Desert, we do have crew and crew access at that aid station, and that's a great place for anybody that is wanting to join their runner to pace them into the finish line. That's mile 53.8 there at Virgin Desert. Virgin Desert also is going to be a great aid station to be able to check on your runner as they're nearing the end of their race. But from there, the runners are going to continue on to the Virgin Dam aid station, which is only a few miles away at 62.5 is the mileage on the Virgin Dam, which is a really beautiful aid station location. We basically just run right along the rim of the Virgin River right there.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite trails to run on.
Gorgeous, yeah.
I love to go mountain bike and run on that trail. It's a really good one. Unfortunately for some of the slower runners, that it might be dark by the time they get to that aid station. Yeah. But if it is, you got to go back and check it out because it's pretty cool.
It's a beautiful canyon that comes off of the Virgin River up there.
It really is. And then from there, you just run along the rim of that canyon. We'll have a water only station set up on Sheepbridge Road. So right as you come back onto or just right before you get back on the main road, there will be a water station about 2 miles from the finish line. You can top off your water, and then you'll just run on the ATV trail right along the road back into the Virgin Town Park, and we will be there to welcome you at the finish line.
Well, it's great. You've got tons of aid and support on this course. I mean, you're not going miles and miles between aid stations. You have a lot of support, especially later in the race for these 100Kers. So you do have plenty of support out there, so you can kind of plan your day based on those 10 aid stations on the 100K. So going to the 50K, we take off the Grafton Mesa and the Wire Mesa. 50Kers are going to head straight up to the Goosebump aid station for their first pass and head out on the Gooseberry Mesa loop counterclockwise. And then they'll come back through the Goosebump aid station, heading back down the same way we just talked about the 100K. Anything specific with the 50K?
So the only difference from Virgin Desert is they'll come down from Goosebump, hit Virgin Desert aid station, but they have a slightly different route that they continue past Virgin Desert to the finish line. They do not go out to Virgin Dam. It's more a direct route that kind of runs parallel to that Sheep Bridge Road.
Straight back.
It does hit that trailhead right there off of right there by Sheep Bridge where we have that water station.
Yep.
It hits that trailhead right there. So there is a small section where they get to see the
canyon that we just talked about. Yep.
But it's not as much of it as the
100Kers.
So it's more, like I said, more of a direct route to that Sheep Bridge water station. And then from there, a couple miles just along the road on the ATV trail to the finish line.
Yeah, I love on this ultra, there is very little pavement on this ultra.
Yeah.
Very little.
And because we're not doing the 100 mile, we don't even cross SR9, so everything's on the south side. Which is
it really is nice. It's unique for ultras. A lot of times you do have stretches or sometimes even long stretches of pavement. This one, you're going to be on some dirt roads and some double track, but you have that benefit of being off road all the time.
Yeah.
So
and definitely a lot of really high quality single track. Too.
Oh, absolutely. Great. I think we could say some of the most iconic in Utah that you're going to be on for this Zion Ultra.
For sure.
So we've done the 100K, the 50K, and then the half marathon. What's their course going to be like?
The half marathon basically is going to be starting at the town park, and it's totally different. So they do not go up onto any of the mesas. They stay down in the lower desert single tracks. There's a fair amount of double track that they'll be running for the first little bit. But it's beautiful. We actually did a race back in June.
Yes,
on
this exact course.
Yeah, on this exact course is our Zion at Night, and actually, we're doing another one this fall as well on the same course. But we did a Zion at Night, which was kind of our attempts to try and figure out what we could do with all these COVID restrictions and stuff, and so we just had 50 people assigned a starting time, and we just started them every hour.
And they ran this exact half marathon.
Yeah, the exact same half marathon, ran them all through the night, and it was awesome. And everybody loved it. We had really good feedback on it. And so
this half course is a great course for a half marathon.
They ran this course the opposite direction of how we're going to be running it for the ultra. But yeah, it's a great course. Lots of beautiful scenery of the surrounding plateaus and mesas around Zion National Park. So lots to definitely take in. We have two aid stations. First aid station you'll hit is about 3.7 miles into the race, and then the second aid station for the half marathon is going to be at Virgin Desert, and it's going to be at mile 8.8, which is going to be really good spot for runners to kind of really recharge their batteries before they tackle the final stretch of the race. And just like the other distances, we'll have a water only station on that.
It's about 2 miles before the finish.
Yeah, Sheep Bridge Road. It's gonna come for the half marathon about 11.6. Mile 11.6 is where that's gonna come. But they're gonna follow the same trail that the 50K does from Virgin Desert.
Kind of that more direct route back.
Yeah, it's not on Sheep Bridge Road, but it's definitely more direct than how the 100K route goes. And then they'll hit that Sheep Bridge Road where we'll have that water station set up, 11.6, and then head in the last couple miles to the finish line, which is going to just run parallel to the main road on an ATV trail for that last little bit.
Great.
At the Virgin Town Park.
It's going to be great. So talk about the finish. How's the finish going to be a little bit different, in these times of COVID-19?
Yeah, so the main difference, I guess, is that normally at our races, we love to have spectators there cheering on their runners, and not just their runners, everybody. We want them to stick around. We want it to be a party. We want like everybody to be there and stick around and cheer everybody in. And as much as we are welcoming to spectators coming and cheering on their runners, we kindly ask that when your runner comes in, that you and your runner, leave and not congregate
kind of
around.
grab and go your finish line awards.
We'll have a recovery tent set up there at the finish line where you can grab some food and pick up your drop bags. If your drop bags aren't there, generally we'll try to have all the drop bags brought back to the finish line as the aid station closes. But for those of you that are running the 50K and even obviously the Goosebump aid station is not going to close until the 100K runners go through there. So if you do have a drop bag for Goosebump and Virgin Desert, make sure that you are putting it in the return to finish pile after you've used your bag, because otherwise we have no idea if your bag's been gone through or not.
And if you're new to maybe this drop bag thing, what you'll see is the drop bags will be all laid out for you when you get into the aid station. And if you are done with that drop bag, there'll be another section where you can put that drop bag that signifies to the staff, hey, this is ready to go back to the finish line. Yeah. So, if you're doing the 100K, you go through Goosebump on your first pass, you use your stuff in your drop bag, you leave it in that same spot.
Yeah, so you can have it again.
Whereas, if you're a 50K or you're coming through your second pass, you're headed to the finish, it goes into that return to finish. So if you're, so it helps us get it back to you. But there might be times where it's not back. You're a little bit faster than our staff is getting it back.
Yeah, exactly. And so if that's the case and you finish and your bags aren't returned to the finish line yet, like I said, if you're running one of those shorter distances, the half marathon or the 50K, and there is no drop bags for the half marathon, just for the 50K. But if you're running the 50K and your bag has not been brought to the finish line yet, we're going to be there till 3 a.m. on Sunday morning.
You can come back and grab it. Yeah.
So it'll be brought back sometime. And in fact, if you're running the 100K and your bag has not been brought back, we will be there until 9 a.m. on Sunday morning before we pack up the finish line and everything. So you are welcome to come anytime before 9 a.m. on Sunday, and we'll have the bags there. And if you come after 9 a.m. and we are all packed up and gone, you can also request to have us ship your bag to you. And we'll make sure and send out that information in an email after the race in our post race email that we send out, just letting you know of how you can claim your bag if you are indeed unable to claim it at the end of the race.
So you did say there will be finish line awards, like finisher medals for every distance, and those will be given at the finish line.
Correct.
What about the awards? So if someone does take top 3 in one of their distances, how are we handling those awards this time?
Those will just be mailing out.
Okay.
So we'll reach out and notify everybody because we have such a large window. I mean, it's all going to be based off of chip time ultimately, and so we want to make sure that if somebody has started at 6 a.m. and you started at 5:30, I mean, ultimately, if the person that started at 6 a.m. ran a faster race, then they're going to beat you.
Sure.
So we have to take all that stuff into account, and so we will not post anything official until all those results have been tallied up and calculated. So. But yeah, we'll make sure and reach out to everybody who does place one of those awards, and we'll be sending those out to you. We'll reach out to confirm addresses and all that stuff.
Great. So you get a little care package after the fact.
Exactly. But then also kind of on that same note there, as far as finisher awards. So everybody will get an awesome finisher award, and we have a couple different awards to choose from.
Cool.
For the ultras, which is always fun. We have some really cool finisher medals that you can pick, or we have some cups that we've had custom made.
Nice.
that are pretty awesome too. So when you finish, you'll have an option. So when you finish, there'll be a recovery tent, and then there'll also be an awards tent, and you can grab some food at the recovery tent, and then make your way down to the awards tent, where you can select which award you would like to take. It's different for each distance. So the 100K has some unique awards that we offer for that one, and the 50K and the half marathon too. So each of them have some different awards, and you can just pick whichever one speaks to you the most. So
Cool. Well, that's going to be great. I think we're just excited that there's a live event.
absolutely.
And that we get to be there. What are we looking at as far as how many people are coming? How many people in the distances?
So right now we have just a little over 100 that have signed up for the 100K. We've got about 180 that have signed up for the 50K and just a little over 200 that have signed up for the half marathon.
Great.
So
Great.
I'm expecting on race day we'll have total between the three distances, probably just a little over 400, maybe 450 people total, which will be great. It'll be good.
It is going to be great. And, one thing we didn't hit on just yet, Vacation Race is big on the zero waste thing.
Absolutely.
We really try hard to leave these places just as beautiful as we find them by not making extra garbage, by not putting things in the landfill. So can you kind of talk about that, Lyle, and what you guys do as far as the garbage and what you're asking participants to do as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely, and I appreciate you bringing that up because that's one thing that we really pride ourselves on is our zero waste initiative. And for those of you that have ran races with us in the past, you're probably pretty familiar with the system that we use with our containers and stuff. So each container is going to have a clear bag that we use to collect everything, but it also has different dispensing openings that you can put
for different kinds of trash
for compost and recyclables and then just plain trash. And so we really try to make sure that we have all those things separated as best as we can. And so we ask for your help with that just to ease the manual sifting through the trash.
Well, because there's actually
we do.
Yeah, there's staff who that's what they do is they go through the trash, make sure it's sorted appropriately so we can recycle as much as possible.
And so the main thing that we really run into is like food waste, So if there's paper plates or something like that and there's a bunch of, nasty pizza sauce and melted cheese or something like that on there, well, like obviously that plate can't be recycled.
Right.
So it's just things of that nature that we really try our best to separate. And so if there is some like a cup of coffee and you just go throw it in with all the recycled paper, well, you've just ruined all that paper to
can't be recycled anymore.
So like we want to just make sure that we're separating things as best we can and doing our part to be able to efficiently recycle as much of this material as possible. And same with the compost. Last year, so those that know me very well know that I'm pretty big on like gardening and stuff, and I've got like this little mini farm in my backyard. And last year I thought, oh, this is great, I'm going to use all the compost that we generate at our races. I'm going to bring all this food waste back to my house. I'm going to compost it all into my garden and it's going to be great. And so I did, and had a wonderful garden this year.
Yeah, you did. You guys have like your own little farmer's market at your house.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. I love being able to grow my own food. So anyway, so just know that we aren't just taking this all to the dump. Like we are actually trying to process this stuff and make it usable in some capacity or another. So,
and speaking of composting toilets as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have our own composting toilet business, Great Outdoor Toilets, and we again have a big we have this big composting drum. It's a big industrial, I don't really know how to explain it other than like it's specifically designed for being able to take human waste and transform it into food grade topsoil,
which is crazy.
Yeah, so when it comes out the other side, it has been heated up and it has gone through the process that it needs to go through enough that the soil that comes out the other side has killed all the microbes and everything in there, so that if I wanted to go pick up a handful of the dirt with my hands, like it's safe. It's safe dirt. Yeah. And so we actually have it on a farm down here in southern Utah, where after all the races, we take all the human waste from our toilets and we go process it, and the farmer uses it on his fields, and it's great. We love it. And so it's good to be able to find ways like this that we can take and repurpose something and make something good out of it. And that's what we're trying to do, is do our best. So
you'll see those composting toilets on the course at the different aid stations and everything. They utilize sawdust and they really work great. I mean, they do.
The key, like, if you've used a regular traditional porta potty, they use chemicals, and those work really good to keep the smell down. But ultimately, what happens when they've been overused?
Yes, we all know what happens when they've been overused.
The chemical doesn't work anymore. So the beautiful thing with our composting toilets is after you've done your business, so you sprinkle some sawdust over it. It really does a great job of keeping all the smell down.
It does, yeah.
And you don't have. They're very. I'm going to use the word pleasant because that's the best way to explain it.
It is true. I mean, and as a female who has used them many times, it really is not that bad, and it kind of covers everything up. Yeah. It makes it a whole different experience.
Yeah, you don't have to look at anybody else's business.
At anything, and you don't have to. I mean, let's just be honest. It's gross in those porta potties and the composting toilets. The only thing I don't like is sometimes I get a little bit of wood chips in my tights or something like that. But other than that,
you just got to be careful not to get the wood chips.
You got to brush off first. You just got to brush off.
Off. But yeah, that's our composting toilets, and again, it's just all part of our zero waste initiative. We really try hard to reduce the amount of waste that we generate. And on a normal year, we don't even we reuse all of our own dishes at the aid stations, and we wash them. So we have our own dishwashing stations at the aid stations. We won't be doing that this year. We'll be using paper plates and paper products this year, just due to all the.
It's not our favorite thing to do.
Not our favorite thing to do, but it gets us through this year, so we'll be doing that.
So the more that you guys can do as far as sorting that garbage and helping us to make sure we can recycle even more than we normally would be helpful, because we are making more trash than we're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
But it's in order to keep our runners safe and our staff safe. And I think, Vacation Races has definitely risen to the top this year on being able to provide those safe events and have these live events to go out to. And really, I feel like this running community loves this. They've embraced those changes, and we're going to have a great race.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and I appreciate you taking the time to go over this with us, Colleen. This is going to be an exciting race, and I'm personally very excited to have everybody come and join us and just get out and run. That's really the thing that everybody just needs to do.
We do. Everybody just needs more miles. That's what they need, more miles. And we've got beautiful miles coming up for you.
Absolutely.
Zion Ultra. Of course, you do have this race guide. You're going to see it in your email. So you'll be able to print off a copy of that. And so everything we went over, you'll also get a copy of. If you do have any questions, you can reach out to Lyle at vacationraces.com, or you can also talk to Kaylee. Right? Kaylee
Info at Vacation Races.
Info at vacationraces.com. So we can answer all your questions, but we're just excited to see you guys for the Zion Ultra in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, September 26th.
My gosh, it's coming up quick. Thanks, guys. You've been listening to the Vacation Races and Friends podcast. We'd love your feedback. Email podcast@vacationraces.com with comments, concerns, or stories you'd love to share. Make sure to watch for more episodes coming soon to vacationraces.com. This episode was directed by Robin Rogers and produced by Colleen Rue in the Festival Sound Studio. For information about music licensing, contact Dane at vacationraces.com.